I manage 4 engineering teams. I'm not in most of their meetings. They still ship the right thing. If you are running multiple teams and your calendar looks like a war zone, more stand-ups, more daily check-ins, more quick syncs, the problem isn't your team, it's that you haven't built the system yet. Most leaders try to scale by being in more rooms, more reviews, more approvals, more FaceTime, but every stand-up you add is a confession that the system doesn't work without you. The real move is designing the environment so the right decisions happen even without you being there. I've been leading engineering teams for 15 years, sometimes up to 35 people. And what I'm about to show you is actually what's changed. 2 things you need to install. First, curated context, and second, codified opinions. I'll show you exactly what each looks like and why they compound. And here is what I mean by curated context. Sit down separately from your daily work, go through your Confluence docs, your Slack conversations, and your team's tribal knowledge, and distill it into something coherent, something that will live for at least a couple of months, or at least until the next direction change. Whether your team is using AI coding tools right now or will be in 6 months, this context is what makes the difference between a really useful output and garbage. The goal is to have a document that is clean enough and consistent enough that an engineer or a coding agent can reason about. There are 2 layers here. First is product layer, product vision, roadmap, audience, their pain points, current priorities, some key decisions that you've made and why. Second, and this is the one most people miss, is the architecture layer. Does the agent know you're using message queues? That you have a workflow orchestration tool? Is it a monorepo or microservices? And which service are you working in right now? Without these pointers, the agent rediscovers your world every single time. It makes guesses. Sometimes it guesses it right and often it doesn't. And here is the contrarian part. Your instinct might be, I'll just connect Slack and Confluence to the AI via MCP and just let it figure things out. Don't. Stale, unfiltered context actively poisons your AI-assisted decisions. Your Confluence has pages from 5 years ago describing a system that no longer exists. Your Slack has 6 different opinions about how things should work that conflict with each other. 5 curated documents in the repo beat 50 different systems connected every single time. This week, write 1 product context markdown for your biggest team. Keep it in the repo right next to the code. Context tells the system what you're working with, but it doesn't tell the system what you believe in. And that's the second layer, and honestly, that's where the real leverage is. You have strong opinions about how your team should build, what patterns to use, what tools to use, what patterns lead to bugs, and what shortcuts cause production incidents. The problem is those opinions, they live in your head, or scattered across Slack, or in a doc that nobody reads. In the old world, you enforced your opinions by being in the room. Code reviews, architecture discussions, that worked for one team, but it breaks at 4. So the question becomes, how do you enforce your opinions when you are not there? Here is a real example. We had a rule, no JavaScript date object. Time zone bugs had burned us twice, and the team should be using temporal TC39 spec instead. Now, you might think you just write that rule in ClodeMD file or mention it in a prompt. Don't use date, use temporal. But that doesn't stick. LLM forgets, a different session doesn't have the context, a new team member doesn't read the doc, somebody is using a different coding agent. What actually worked is we wrote a custom linter rules using a tool called Biome that catch the violation the moment it happens. When the coding agent writes new date, the linter fires immediately, not at the PR review time, not at the CI. It's right there after the edit. And here is the key. The error message includes helpful feedback. It doesn't just say wrong. It says use temporal, plain date, here is why. The agent reads that feedback, corrects the mistake in the same session, and for every next edit, it uses the right approach. It learned. One rule, permanent enforcement. The agent self-corrects, and your strong opinions are enforced without you being in the room. And that's the enforcement stack. Context rules in ClodeMD, those are suggestions. Linter rules are enforcements. Helpful error messages, those are self-correction. So 3 layers, each reinforcing the others. This is what what it means to work on systems that engineers work every day. Your output isn't code, it isn't a direction, it's the environment. This week, pick one opinion you keep repeating on code reviews. Write it as a linter rule, and you start with just one. When both layers are installed, curated context and codified rules, engineers take on larger and larger work independently. This is how 4 teams ship without me in the room. Not because they don't need a direction, because the direction is already in the system. Right now, my meetings are compressed to Mondays and Wednesdays. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, those are quite deep work days. And if we need to sync up over voice on those days, totally fine. It's just not taken by default. And that's what a well-designed environment buys you. You stop being the person who directs the traffic and start being the person that designs the road. So 2 layers, curated context, product and architecture in the repo, not in the Confluence. Codified opinions enforced by linters, not by you being in the room. Together, they let your teams shape the right thing without you being there. And this is what we install when we work with engineering teams at Brilliant. If you want us to do this for you, link is in the description. Next video, I'm breaking down the exact product context file, the linter rules, and the one thing that most teams don't think of doing. Subscribe so you don't miss it.